day's a day, a bad luck's always a coming my way.
For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in a place known as the Village of Billings. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? It's a windy day, and we are visiting a place known as the St. Aidan's Churchyard. And I have to ask you a question. Do you believe in vampires?
You may not believe in vampires, and I'm not even sure really if I believe in real vampires, but Michael and I made a pact. Really, I looked at him one day and I said, I need you to make a pact with me. And that pact is that should one of us be bitten by a vampire, a werewolf, or a zombie, or any other supernatural entity that would turn us into, say, the living dead or a supernatural creature, the other one has to turn the spouse. And I made him pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
So what brings us all the way out here to the Village of Billings, not too far from the city of Liverpool? Well, you see here inside the cemetery there's a grave, a tombstone that dates back to the year 1720 that the locals here believe is the grave of a vampire. When it comes to the world of YouTube, both Jessica and I have seen our fair share of strange and unusual tombstones and cemeteries. But I can honestly say this one takes the cake. Not only is it a tombstone, the final resting place of a vampire, but it's also in the shape of a coffin. This is amazing. So let's start down here at the bottom of the tombstone. Like I said, it is in the shape of a coffin. And when I get all the way up here at the top, this is gonna blow your mind. Look at this. Right? You have a skull that looks like it's being carried by bat wings. And the crest, like the circle, the emblem, is a snake eating its own tail. How wild is this? It's beautiful. And then right above the snake head to the right, you can see the date of 1720. And I was doing some research on this, and above it all, up here at the very top, you can kind of see like the waves, the ripple in the stone. Supposedly, back in the day, at some point, that was a curtain, or what appeared to be like cloth. And it had something inscribed on there, but that's long gone, and all that remains is this. How terrifyingly beautiful.
1720 makes it 300 years. Are we sure that this is not the grave of Billy Butcherson, cursed by Winifred?
Oh.
300 years. Want to see something funny? This was not planned.
Yeah. The black flame candle shirt. Now sadly, baby girl, this is not the final resting place of Billy Butcherson, but how cool would that have been? Right here, if you look very closely, you should be able to make it out. It says George and Kitty Smith, husband and wife that are buried here. That the story goes, George got bitten by a snake working in the quarry not too far from here, and he died, and his wife Kitty died from a broken heart, or so the legend goes. I mean, it could be a vampire. They both could be vampires. They could have a pact just like us. Now that we know that there are two people buried here, and one of them could very well be a vampire, or both of them could be a vampire according to local legend, we know that there's obviously not two bodies inside this little coffin, that they're actually underneath the slab that's on top of, that's underneath it. I mean, it's a tombstone. But I wanted to show you this side over here too, because right here you can see what looks like a broken like holder, like you would carry the coffin if you're a pallbearer. Now, aside from the legend of George getting bit by a snake and Kitty dying from a broken heart, there's also another story that says Kitty was the one that was bitten by a snake. And George, unable to cope, took his own life. So either way, it's a sad story. Now, off camera, Baby Gold, we were talking about something.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Knowing a bit more about the backstory, because I didn't know the whole story when we arrived, that the simple fact that there's very possibly two people here that were in love, and the myth of vampirism, I can't help but go back to the ultimate love story with the original vampires being Dracula and his vampire bride, Mina, or Lucy, depending on the book or movie, whichever you prefer. But I think it's a very sweet story.
Now, Baby Goal, you're what, 5'3", right?
Yeah, maybe 5'4" on a good day with shoes.
So why don't you go ahead and lay down on the ground next to it so we can get a really good, clear picture of how big this is.
To me, it seems rather small, but I think it's just my size.
That's about right.
I fit.
You do fit. What you're saying?
If I fit, I sit.
Aside from the grave of George and Kitty Smith, or the vampire grave here in this village, this cemetery is actually rather small. There's a beautiful church. So what we're going to do from here on is just kind of give a little tour of what this place looks like, because it's absolutely beautiful. And the wind has kind of died down a little bit. Crazy, right? Look at that. Oh, quick heads up. Sadly, we cannot get inside the church. It is closed right now, locked up tight. But it's still really beautiful to look at. It looks like on the left-hand side, it looks like there's some newer plots. But there are a lot of old stones here. And right above the door, it says 1718. So if George and Kitty Smith were buried here in 1720, this cemetery, this church, was built just a couple years before they were, laid to rest here. This graveyard is actually right up against a pretty busy road. So you can see why it's not so big. I mean, it looks like it's almost right in the middle of the town, or what the town used to be like back in 1718, 1720. Oh man. This place really is something. You could definitely see a vampire being laid to rest in this place. Now, the cemetery is a lot bigger than I originally thought. After walking through the high grass area, I turned a corner, and this wall on your left-hand side, on Jessica's right, actually curves around a bend to like the backside of the cemetery. Look at this place. There's just something extra spooky, extra beautiful about being in a cemetery over here in England. Now, Baby Goal, did you ever in a million years think that you'd be walking through a graveyard of the legend of a vampire, like a supposed vampire?
No, I really didn't. but I'm still.
Right? There's something like
Yeah.
English cemeteries are just dreamy.
They're dreamy. Yeah, just some people might find it odd that a cemetery would be your happy place, but there's a lot of us out there that find places like this to be very beautiful because they are memories. They're remembering the people who have come before us, our loved ones, even strangers, and just saying thank you.
There's one more thing that we wanted to show you that we typically don't see in the States. And that is like old tombstones. I'm guessing they're old tombstones from the past that have either broken or fallen down that they couldn't put back up, that they actually use those as the walkway, like stepping stones on the walkway. So if I go ahead and point the camera down a little bit, you're gonna see a lot of writing. And as you walk through the cemetery, through the graveyard, you're walking on these old, I'm guessing they're tombstones, or maybe they're memorial markers. A little bit of both, but we see that a lot here. Like I said, this place really isn't that big. Maybe 10 minutes walking through it, stopping to see the grave of the vampire, and you are all set. Now, I looked up and Jessica was gone and tried to figure out where she was, and of course she's over here standing near George and Kitty Smith. And you know what, baby girl, I was just thinking. I think, let me go ahead and back up to get both of you in here. You know how people renew their vows, like when they get married? We should renew our vampire pact on camera in front of all these people watching at the vampire's grave. What do you think?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Pinky swears.
Pinky?
Pinky, and you start us off.
I, baby ghoul, do hereby pledge with my hand upon this vampire's crypt that should my fate befall a supernatural nature, that I shall take you with me. In layman's terms, if I get bit, you get bit.
you get bit, I get bit.
Yeah.
Now it's my turn.
Good.
My vows.
Okay. On our wedding vows, I sang to him. I didn't actually have vows, so this is nice.
I, Michael Collins, Michael Grimm, Mr. Grimm, however you want to say, solemnly swear that if I become a bloodsucker, I'll suck your blood and have you with me for eternity.
Eternity.
Crossing the oceans of time. Forever. My blood is your blood.
Crossing the oceans of time to find you.
With that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time at a vampire's grave.
But wait, we have to seal the deal. Not with blood, but with a kiss.
Uh-huh. I love you.
I love you.
Bloodsucker,
Not yet.
happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
How do we do this? Happy Halloween.
Arr.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.